Hey guys, what's happening? Today I'm doing another video because I'll be expanding the loop with more radiators in the Enthoo Primo. So right now I am stress testing with ADA and trying to create somewhat of a realistic load experience here. So I got combustor running also at low resolution just to create a little extra GPU heat in the loop. But as it is, this test has been running for 29 minutes. And in terms of CPU temps, it's not going to focus, but it's 77 and 78 degrees C max. This is like a full stress test, so I'm hitting the memory, CPU, the FPU, and the cache. Everything's maxed out, so after about a half hour I'm hitting a maximum of 77 and 78 degrees on the CPU. GPU is just under 50 right now. Yeah, this is just won't focus, but anyway, the CPU fans are running at 750 RPM. I have the low voltage adapter on those, so that's what's going on there. Did condense this build to 3 monitors because I put that 4th monitor on a second build. This is actually some older parts I put together. AMD, what is it, a 955 Black Edition, which overclocked to 4 gigahertz, no voltage increase, and I went ahead and threw my old GTX 560 in there. So I was using it as a secondary GPU in the Enthoo Primo as dedicated PhysX, and wasn't really using it too often, so I decided just to throw it in the secondary build. GTX 560 with the 955 Black Edition. So today we're going to be looking at these results, and I'll be tearing this thing apart. Today I'm going to drain the loop, flush the radiators 2 or 3 times, then take it apart. I'm going to redo all the wiring. I'm going to put new tubing in, change the fittings around. I'm going to flip the CPU block around. So it's going to be a bit of a project, but basically the goal is to add more radiators and to also show the expandability of the case itself. So lots of radiator space, might as well use it. So let's get to it. So 4 hours later, here we are. Got a few things rearranged, all my fittings installed. Flip the fans to a pull configuration. Flip the CPU block inlet and outlet. What else did I do? I did get these combs for the power cables. Yeah, and then still got to work on cable management, but I did add the 240 radiator in the front there. Was hoping to do a push-pull with that, but the hard drive cage is going to prevent me from doing that. I could probably put a 120 on the bottom half of the radiator, but I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to actually install 2 fans on the side panel with the side bracket. So I'm probably going to have that installed here shortly. So all the fittings are in place, just got to get everything, all the power cables ran. work on some of the cable management, obviously. Tube it up, leak test, and we should be good to go. So I don't have the reservoir in yet, but the reservoir is going to go into the pumps. Either, I'm not sure which end I'm going to go into the pump at, but anyway, it's going to go into the pump, out of the pump into the front rad, out of the front rad into the bottom rad, out of the bottom rad into the 120 rear, up into the 420 top, down to the CPU block to GPU block, back into the reservoir. I still have to clean the reservoir out, so I haven't mounted that yet. But okay, so here we are. I believe I got all the power cables installed at this point, and we are all tubed up, ready to go. It's kind of a pain to do some of these, but whatever. A lot of radiators, a lot of tubing, a lot of fittings. And that's how it turned out there. Aesthetically speaking, I think it looks pretty good, actually. It's clean. All the runs are pretty clean. Yeah, I think it looks pretty good, actually. So, probably start filling here pretty soon, do some leak testing. Okay, so I'm pretty much ready here to start filling the loop. As you can see, I have my drain set up here. In case we run into an emergency, you always want to have this ready to drain. So drainage valves are very important, and I highly recommend installing one somehow. Especially, you know, if you run into a problem, you got to get the water out of there ASAP before you do major damage. So this looks like it is all ready to go. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do this live, and if it's an epic fail, then everybody will see it. How's that sound? So what I'm using here is some basic distilled water, so there's no coolant, there's nothing fancy going on here, and I'm going to pour it into my 500 milliliter little filling tool. And since I'm now filling the reservoir, or feeding the reservoir in the loop from the bottom, I can just take the top of the reservoir off and pour water directly into it, as opposed to feeding it into a fitting or a tube. So this should go fairly quick. So for anybody who's never done this before, as soon as you start to put water in the reservoir, start checking for leaks. It's very important. If you're going to get a leak, chances are it's going to happen right away, okay? I know a lot of people recommend 8 to 10 hours of leak testing, but really 1 to 2 hours is plenty time. But those first few minutes are critical, so let's see what happens. And you want to start checking for leaks immediately. And so far so good, so we're going to keep going. Okay. Good so far. Okay, so I'm just going to lightly screw the top on here. Make sure my pump speed's on the slowest speed possible, which for me is 1. I got an Alphacool VPP something, I can't remember. It's a D5. So on the lowest speed, got my secondary power supply. I don't think you can see it in the shot. We're going to go ahead and flip it on and hope everything goes okay. Take a quick peek at this front radiator. Paper towels are dry. Looks good. Let's keep going. And of course the golden rule is not to run the pump dry. I'm sure everybody knows that by now. So, well, we haven't even filled up the second radiator yet, so another 500 milliliters. Take another peek at my paper towels. Everything's looking good, so we will proceed. Oh, there we go. Second rad's filling up. What time is it? Let me speed it up a little bit, maybe. There we go. Okay, we are into the top radiator now, going into the CPU block. Paper towels are definitely dry. Everything's good so far. I got the pump up to like 2 now. There we go. Everything's looking good so far. Still a lot of air in the system. I just tipped it a few times. A bunch of air ran through it. But you can see how powerful that pump is. I mean, it's running on its highest level right now, which I think is 5,000 RPM. So everything's looking good. I do plan on adding this bracket here, which I'm going to put in 2 of the Swiftech Helix 120 millimeter fans. Or here we go. Yeah, I have 2 of these from my old H220. I would have liked to maybe put these in a push-pull on the front radiator, but with the hard drive cage in, it's not going to let me do that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to set up that bracket and have 2 more intakes. So that'll give me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 intakes, 1, 2, 3, 4 exhaust fans. So I'm going to have some pretty good positive case pressure going on here. So as you can see, I did quite a few different things here with this build. I put the fans in pull configuration. Also, I was thinking about getting new fans in the future. So, like, obviously, that's going to make it easy to switch them out. You can't switch out the fans if they're between the radiator and the case. So, at least this way I could do that if I wanted to. Flip the CPU block. Change out the fittings, obviously. Rearranged the routing of the custom cables. And that's really about it. You know, the front radiator and that stuff. So, yeah. Redid the lighting, which I may test. See what that looks like here in a minute. Yeah, I just got done tipping the case. A lot of air moved back into the reservoir. So here we are, hooked all up again in our monitors. Loop is complete. Currently stress testing. 864 combustor. And I don't think the loop is fully primed yet. That's, you know, it's probably going to take a couple more days for it to be fully primed. Also, I'm using Icy Diamond thermal compound, which can take, you know, a few days to set. I think the manufacturer even said you'll notice improvements in temperatures up to 2 weeks later. So, considering this isn't really even 24 hours into this new loop, you know, I'll probably see a little bit better performance. Right now I'm seeing, you know, about 2 to 3 degree improvement over what it was before. That may improve, you know, what, 1, 2 degrees. So under this test, I'm seeing a maximum of 76C right now. So not bad. Fans are running at about 800 RPM. I wasn't able to fit the bracket in the back panel because I was going to put the two 120 Helix fans as 2 additional intakes, but would not fit with the pump located where it was, so I could not install that. So as it is, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, I'm sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4 intakes. Let's see. 4 140 millimeter intakes. Then 3 140 millimeter exhaust and 120 millimeter exhaust. So, the SP120 is at about 900 RPM. The Phanteks 140s are about 800 RPM, and it's extremely quiet. I have the pump on number 2, which is about 2500 RPM, so it is running extremely quiet. Okay, so here we are with the side panel off, so you can get a better look at what's going on. Apologize about the poor lighting in the room. I just keep it more of an ambient light in here. I don't like really bright lights in my office, so I just plugged in a reading lamp and showing it over here. But anyway, I am extremely satisfied with the aesthetics of the build. How it all turned out. I think it looks pretty sweet, actually. Put the fans in pull configuration. I also added this little panel back here, which came with my Define R4, and I covered up this PSU opening in the back there, so that's going to allow for less dust to get in. You know, I was really going for some strong positive case pressure, but without those 2 additional fans. I mean, I am supporting positive case pressure as it is, just not as much as I was hoping. So, but yeah, I think it looks really sweet. 4 radiators in the Enthoo Primo, so this thing is extremely water cooling friendly, obviously. You can see in the back there the other rad in the front. Yeah. So I've flipped the CPU block around, changed some of the wiring placement, added the wire combs to make it look cleaner. Yeah, I'm pretty impressed with it. So anyway, you know, it's kind of a challenge to figure out how I'm going to do the tubing and the routing with the 4 radiators. I mean, it was kind of a pain to figure it out, but honestly, this was the best route I could go, I thought. I mean, I thought about taking, you know, going from the GPU to the top of the res as opposed to the bottom, but it was too tight of a bend, you know, with this 1/2, 3/4 tubing. You know, the bends are kind of tough to make. I was kind of nervous about that bend going from the bottom of the res into the pump. I mean, it's a tight bend, but it actually worked out perfect. I had to raise the reservoir just a little bit to take some of the tension off of that. But so this is the latest build as it probably will stay. There's really nothing else I could do to it. There's no more room for radiators. Obviously, I could buy 2 480s and put one in the top and the bottom, which I probably should have done initially. And I do recommend going with the biggest radiators possible that'll fit in your case. Just from the get-go, it's going to give you the best results. And I just recommend it. And if you got a case like the Enthoo Primo that can support 2 480s, just do it. You won't regret it. So anyway, guys, it's going to be it for this video. Any questions, let me know. Comments, leave them down below. And I'll see you in the next video. And just one more peek here at the full setup.